Does everyone see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. All right. All right, then I'll get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew, as Arthur mentioned, and my project is called Be Well, developing an AI-based bee health assessment system utilizing computer vision and acoustic signal processing. So, as you all know, saving bees is crucial since they pollinate over 80% of plants, but colony loss rates have averaged at about 40% annually over the past decade. And so, in my literature review, I identified three key gaps in the field. The first was that nobody had combined visual and audio signals together to predict beehive health states. And I hypothesized that if I combined these different signals, then that would improve the accuracy of hive health evaluation. Second, I found that there was just a general lack of data within bee research, and especially with paired bee images and sounds. Third, I found that there was no end-to-end system that integrated factors like data acquisition, bee object detection, bee health assessment, and web application. And so to fill these gaps, I aim to create a multimodal model and a comprehensive bee health assessment system, and also construct a large-scale data set. Thanks. Okay. So in my project, there are four key components for my project. The first is a data acquisition system that can record bee videos and audio. My second contains object detection algorithms, so for both visual and audio. So the system can recognize images and audio of bees and those without. And then the data with bees are transferred to the health evaluation models, which contains my multimodal model, which integrates the features from the images and sounds. And finally, I create the web application to display the bee activities and also record the hive health evaluation results. Sorry, slide transitions are a bit slow. To get data, I visited 25 beehives in 3 local apiaries in California from October 2022 and to March 2023. And among them was the Gilroy Beekeepers Association's beehive. So really thanks to everyone here for allowing, and especially to Arthur for allowing me to. So to obtain unhealthy data, I conducted some experiments on the beehives in my backyards. And so I tried to imitate conditions in a controlled environment. And then these challenges would impact the entire colony, which allowed for a comprehensive assessment of the effects of these stressors on the hives. And furthermore, I gave the hive a lot of time to recover so that I could make sure that they were healthy again. And after conducting my experiments and collecting data otherwise, I got 50 hours of recording of bee activities that had a total of about 150 gigabytes of video and audio data. So this is just a bit more about the data samples. And now onto the visual bee object detection. So I used the model YOLO V5 to locate and crop bees within the pictures. And my model achieved a very high accuracy of 98.6% mean average precision. For my bee health assessment, I used 4 deep learning models that had varying accuracies from about 65% to 70%, so not the best. And especially one of the main challenges that the image model faced was identifying bees that were exposed to pesticides. And I suspect that this could be due to the fact that maybe a small amount of quantity was added to a small quantity of pesticide was added, and so it didn't affect behavior perhaps as much as I wanted. For my audio bee object detection, I developed 4 1D CNNs to identify bee sounds in audio recordings. And each CNN uses a distinct audio feature, which allows it to focus on a specific aspect of bee sound. For the model that performed the best, it used the chromogram feature, which analyzes the sound pitch. And now this is interesting because this suggests that perhaps the pitches of bee sounds might be useful in identifying whether a sound really comes from a bee or from some other source. For my bee health assessment, I trained 4 more advanced deep learning models and used the STFT audio feature Among these models, the VGG16 model performed the best at about 81%, and then the LSTM model, which is normally very good at recognizing patterns over time in audio, also performed rather well with about 77.8% accuracy. Interestingly, these models actually were all able to perform okay when detecting pesticide exposed speeds. Suggests that perhaps the pesticides affected the sounds that the bees were making more than how they looked. And finally, I developed an attention-based multimodal neural network to combine the visual and audio information. This model performed very well with 92.6% accuracy, which significantly outperforms either of the individual models by 10% for audio and more than 20% for visual. So interestingly, I also found that the visual and audio cues from the visual and audio cues in the data can complement each other, because I found that among the cases that were missed by images, audio data were able to classify 80% of those missed by just images. And for the data missed by just audio, images were able to correctly classify almost 90% of that data, which suggests that these two signals provide a different overview into a different look at bee behavior and can be combined effectively. Yeah. So for the web application, my system can provide beekeepers with two key benefits. So first, they can use the live streaming system with a Raspberry Pi camera and microphone to monitor hives remotely and more conveniently. So this will cut down the need for beekeepers to go to their hives and then take out each frame and inspect it. And this will make them need to do that a lot less. And then otherwise, the health assessment system can also allow beekeepers to identify problems with their hives early on and take the appropriate action needed to resolve these issues. So 4 main innovations can be drawn from this project. First, I created a novel attention-based multimodal neural network to effectively integrate the visual and audio signals. I also combined this with bee object detection to ensure that all of the data fed into the AMN contains bees. I also developed a multi-purpose web application that can greatly help beekeepers. And finally, I took some of the data that I had collected, and then I created new data sets with paired visual and audio bee data. So in conclusion, I found that the AMN was able to make accurate predictions that surpassed both models with just one, considering just one stream. Additionally, my results also indicated that bee images and sounds can complement each other, although the bee sounds were more effective than as a single source than the images. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening. I'm ready for any questions that you guys might have.
Can we get access to one of these systems?
I'm working on finalizing the system right now, but my intent is to create the system with like rather low cost materials, so it should be easy to like purchase and assemble.
Great.
Like in a kit format, maybe?
Perhaps in a kit. Although like, yeah, maybe a kit would work.
Well, Andrew, it's very impressive what you've done. I can't believe you've been able to accomplish so much. It's amazing.
Thank you very much.
I second that. My wife asked, is this kid a master's student or is he a high school?
Hey, Andrew, I thought that was a really great presentation. I remember the title, I thought referred to AI. I missed, as we went through the presentation, where AI fit into this, or if it did.
Yeah, let me go back to the slide with all of my components. So let's see. So I mainly used AI in this project for yeah, okay, I'm here. For the object detection, which can allow the system to identify whether images or audio clips have bees in them. So I don't give images and audio to the health evaluation models that just completely are unrelated to bees. And I also use AI for the health evaluation models to try to predict their the health state of the hive.
Got it. So it's in the models that you used. Okay, thanks.
So, Andrew, what kind of pesticide did you expose these to?
I used imidacloprid.
Say again?
Imidacloprid.
Okay, I'm not familiar with. Is that a real pesticide, or is it systemic, or is it?
I thought he had a picture somewhere in the presentation.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the next slide, it should be. Give me a second.
There.
Oh,
It was on the last slide.
yeah, I went a bit too far forward. There we go.
Oh, okay. So, I'm gonna give you a little. Do you have something to write down with?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a professor's name.
Oh.
And her internet address is J Wrangle.
Is it spelled WRANGELL?
So it's JRANGEL at TAMU.edu. So Dr. Rangel is the head of the bee lab at Texas A&M, and so she has done work with Tom Seeley, and so she's done a lot of. I know she's done a lot of work with sound in bees. So I think she would be interested in seeing this, and if you'll just tell her that E.T. Ash gave you the contact information, and see if she has something to come back to you for.
All right. Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
Hey, Andrew, I have a question.
Mhm.
In your model where you were able to detect queen loss, was that because there was the absence of the sound that the queen specifically makes? Or did you train this to recognize the sound that the queen makes, or how were you able to determine that the queen was no longer in the hive, or was there a different sound characteristic that was produced by a queenless colony?
Yeah, I had that question too. And I'm curious to see the answer based on what I think.
Yeah. Based on where I am right now, I'm not able to determine like for sure whether the model is able to pick up piping, but I do suspect that it's a big factor in at least for the audio models in determining whether the queen is present within the hive or not.
Okay.
So I take it you just made the hive queenless and then reference the sound. Is that kind of how you did this?
Mm-hmm.
So that you would kind of think that if you remove the queen, you would kind of think the volume and the tone of the hive is going to shift a certain amount. There are certain people that I don't have a very good ear, but there are certain people that say they can distinguish the sound of the collective when the hive is actually queenless. So,
Mm-hmm.
And
I was
and
curious,
that's,
Andrew, on the when you were giving your presentation, you talked about the certainty. Where do you come up with like a 95% certainty? How did you formulate any particular percentage? What was it based on, I guess?
So for 95% confidence, I just ran my models over and over. I think a significant amount of time. So I think it's over 30. And then I was able to generate 95% confidence intervals from that.
It's basically a 95% confidence that the model correctly predicted what the condition was.
Not quite. This intervals is just, I guess here, this is the training time. So this suggests that there's a 95% chance that like the actual like true quote unquote true value of what the time it actually takes to train lies somewhere within this range that I've identified, because like for every run there's going to be some sort of like maybe something goes a bit slower for one run or then compared to another. But yeah, there's a 95% chance that the true time it takes is between these values. So we can be pretty certain that this is a good ballpark.
Now, you said you used insecticides, or which one did you use again?
Imidacloprid, I believe it's in the chat.
Yeah, Jamie, I think put it in the chat.
Yeah, he did. He added a link.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's a neonicotinoid.
Andrew, this is Mike. I have a couple questions. First of all, you did very well with your statistics because a sample size of 30 is key to having confidence in the numbers that you got. I wanted to ask, is this just a project you've been doing for 1 year, or has it, what year in school are you?
I'm a high school junior.
Okay. Are you going to continue this research for another year?
I mean, I guess school is starting to get a bit busy, but I'm definitely looking to continue this project whenever I get a bit more time.
Have you competed in science fairs?
Yes, I took this project to the science fairs, and then I made it to the international science and engineering fair.
Cool.
Excellent.
Very cool.
Very good. I wanted to ask you, on your Raspberry Pi, what language are you programming in?
So I have all of my models and stuff in Shell, in Python, sorry, and then I use Bash to kind of integrate it within the Pi.
And are you working with any other researchers? Are they helping you on guiding your project?
At the present, I'm not working with anyone, but I think the Dr. Rangel that I think Mr. Ash mentioned, I think she might be an interesting person to reach out to and perhaps collaborate with this project on.
I would encourage you on that. And how did you come up with this? Everything from involving technology, your hypothesis. Do you just have a passion and a love for bees? Where did all this come from?
I think the real like kicking point, I guess, that started this whole journey, I think was just learning about how like significantly the hive populations were dropping, right? Like we all know that bees are really important, but like to think that they're dying like so quickly, and that there's a lot of things that beekeepers sometimes just don't know about, like why a hive somehow it just lost all of its bees. And I think that was really it was really shocking to hear. And so I had been I'm also like pretty interested in just applying technology to different places. And then so when I was looking around seeing how other people are kind of doing bee research, and then that's when I started looking into the literature, and then I started to get a feel for what the research was like, and then I found the gaps, and then I created this project to solve the gaps that I had mentioned.
Wonderful. Hey, thank you for sharing it with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Hey, Andrew, I'm wondering if you would be open to possibly setting up or helping or having us set up for you one or two of your systems at the GVA apiary, just kind of on an ongoing basis. Would you, I don't know how much data storage you need, what kind of battery life you've got on the system, but I would be really interested in helping you with that.
Yeah, I think it would be really nice if I could like deploy this system onto beehive, the real beehives. Right now, I'm still working on trying to get solar panels onto the system so that we don't need like any external power source. But once that's done, I think I can definitely try to get this system onto one of the hives at the apiary that you guys have.
Cool. Please reach out to me if there's anything I can possibly help you with.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Awesome presentation.
Hey, Arthur, I also had a quick question for Andrew.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Let me lower my hand. Oh, Andrew, I was just going to ask you about some of the issues that it looks like you notated for the audio and visual cues that you were looking for and observing on. If you had tuned into when a hive is defensive and when it's being robbed out. And of course, in the Gilroy Beekeepers Association, we definitely get a lot of commercial beekeepers that, you know, can surround us or be next to us and neighbors and things like that. And so you may have a hive that's in distress and being robbed out by fellow honeybees. And I think that if you had the capacity to detect, you know, variances in different sounds, that when a bee is in defensive mode, it might sound different. I was just curious if you had observed that, or maybe you could add it, because definitely know that that's something that comes up a lot.
Yeah, I have heard of like hive robbing before, and I think it would be really useful to have that data. And I feel like what you've mentioned about like the audio signals being different, I think that's going to definitely be apparent. And then also, I feel like there's going to be a lot more bees that like show up in the hive entrance where the camera can look at. And so I think both images and audios are well positioned to handle that. The reason why I wasn't able to include in this project was just that I wasn't able to encounter any cases of hive robbing. So yeah, I just wasn't able to get the data for it. And I feel like how do you know when hives are being robbed? Do you usually see it, or do you like notice somehow mysteriously a lot of honey has disappeared after some amount of time?
I'll let a more experienced beekeeper answer that, but I would say both is the simple answer.
But when I was, Andrew, this is Andrew Williams. When I was with my brother-in-law, he's a beekeeper up in Yuba. When we went out and I helped him work on his beehives, all different ranches, and he pointed out what a hive looks like when it's being robbed. And you'll see the bee, what I observed is you see the bees coming in and out and fighting the other bees trying to come in, and they're going up at the top of any little hole they can get into, and then they're just swarming the hole themselves, trying to get in while the other bees are trying to fight them off. It's quite interesting, and he showed me exactly what it looked like, and it almost looked like a swarm coming out, but they were going in trying to get the honey and the food and stuff. So it was interesting to watch that.
Yeah, I think for his model, he'd have to kind of be opportunistic and catch them in the act, because if he did something artificial, like he created an extra opening at the top of the hive, it might jinx the whole thing by causing the hive to sound differently, because there's a big opening at the top of the hive and they sound differently before they get robbed. You'd almost have to have the microphone and the camera in place and just happen to catch a robbing incident when it happens. But when you caught it, I think the sound and the video would be conclusive and it'd be easy to spot it again.
So in robbing, there's a tonal difference in the sounds. It's very distinctive from, say, a swarming
situation. And like, has been said, I mean, the observation is bees are kind of wrestling around or bees dying on the ground. And typically it's one of those things that it happens seasonally, usually early in the spring and late in the fall. I would become very aware of it in Texas because I had a couple of true commercial migratory beekeepers around me, and they would bring bees in from North Dakota and Idaho, and at that time, the swarming would just take off. I mean, could be quite devastating if you weren't prepared for it. So it's kind of a seasonal thing. Yeah, I don't think you can really create the situation for it. You just have to, like you said, like somebody said here, which is an opportune kind of a thing, but the sound of it is quite different. It's kind of got an angry tone to it. But yeah, that would be a worthwhile thing to have for a lot of people. So.
Yeah, I'll definitely try to do my best to see if I can maybe deploy my system first on hives and then maybe catch them in the act of being robbed. And then I think that's going to be a good way in which I can get the data for hive robbing.
Where are you located at, Andrew? What city?
I live in San Jose.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was just going to mention that it would probably be easier to predict if robbing is going to happen if there's several dozen hives, parked right next door, which has been the case on our family property in Aromas, California, and the neighbor for 2 years in a row now has parked about 100 commercial beehives right next door, just on the other side of the fence line. So you really do have to close up the entrances and protect them from robbing. And I'm assuming that the reason some of our colonies collapsed is because of just a lot of competition out there in the air. So it would definitely be easier to predict. Or if someone on the in the room now could also say that they have a lot of yellow jacket activity, then that would be easy to pinpoint that you could be susceptible to robbing during certain times of the year.
Andrew, what I'd be curious to find out is around the 4th of July area, because I was reading that it stated that the loud booms and the fireworks and loud noises going off would disturb the bees and their activity. Have you thought about working around that time of year to see if anything's changed because of that?
I think that's an interesting idea. Although it happens I guess it just happens once a year. What does the disturbance do to the bees?
I'm sorry, yeah, are you asking me what the disturbance does or
Yeah, I guess. What does the disturbance do to the bees?
I don't know. That's why I was wondering, because I was reading about it and it said it could kill the hives, it could cause them to not produce or kill the queen type of thing. I don't know. I was just reading these different things that happen. I have not seen it, although in Hollister it's like a war zone here during 4th of July, and I have beehives, so I don't know if it affected them or not. I usually the winter affects my bees, so I don't know if anyone else has had that issue with loud noises or construction or large or around busy areas with loud noises. I don't know personally.
I have experience with my bees getting defensive when we are mowing around our yard, around and coming too close, or when my husband does that without a shirt on and it's very warm. I don't know. I'm sure he's stinky, but not that stinky to my nose. But I do know that the bees get offended by him doing yard work in the summer. So I think it's definitely a really interesting idea to see how and what the the bees will set off for sure.
Yeah, your husband and I have talked about this, and we both have a similar experience that if you're doing something like digging a post hole,
Yeah.
say 10 or 15 feet, I don't think it's because we're sweating. I think it's the vibration in the ground and the noise of the post hole digging. They will come after you right away when you do that.
That's amazing, huh?
Okay, again, Andrew, thank you. If there's no other questions for Andrew, thanks for your wonderful presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic.
Really honored to have the opportunity to present here today.
And man, you did a great job. I'm sure your parents are proud of you, and you're doing a great job in high school. As a high school instructor myself, I would love to have a student like you in my classroom. Man, you'd be a hit. Good job.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Andrew, Victoria Fedor Thurman, congratulations on this wonderful presentation. I put in the chat that we want to be able to say we know you when. So please keep this posted in the, tell the, send us an email about your academic career and how your research is going over the next course of years. I suspect Dr. Rangel is going to recruit him to go to Texas A&M, and E.T. and Jane are going to probably help with that. So we want to hear about you and how you're doing. We're all invested in your research and just so impressed with you. And thank you for doing this. And we admire your passion for bees. But sincerely, I think everyone wants to hear about how you're doing and how this research moves forward. Best wishes.
Yeah, thanks so much. I think the Gilroy Beekeepers Association has really played an instrumental role, like especially with the data collection early on, but even now the support I'm feeling, and it's all really useful, and I'll definitely keep you guys posted on my progress.
So, anyone have any, I lost my screen, I'm sorry. Does anyone have any beekeeping questions? Anyone having any seasonal issues?
I am. Oh, go ahead.
Wow.
It just jump right in, huh?